Fucking wow. Oh,
What's up everybody, my name's Atlas, and in this video we're going to discuss what I think is one of the fastest ways of getting better at the game in as little time as possible. So generally when we're talking about things that help you improve at the game, or like core skills that you really need to be good at the game, you're talking about things like crosshair placement, so always having a crosshair where your opponent's head is likely to be. Things like aim, being able to move quickly to where, once again, your opponent's head is likely to be, or if you see them. And then also things like game sense and map knowledge. I think the three most important things would be that crosshair placement / aim, map knowledge, and game sense. So map knowledge can include things like timings, such as how long it takes the defender side to get to somewhere at the start of the round. So for example, on A side on bind, how long it takes the defenders to get here so that they can peek, relative to how long it takes the attackers to get from their start point to somewhere that they can peek this point. Knowing those timings is pretty important, because if you know that, say, the defenders will get to that peak point first, then you might play that in a certain way, knowing, like, you know, you could expect that that person will be there, for example. That's the kind of thing we're talking about when we look at map knowledge. And then finally, working on game sense is working on skills such as knowing common strategies and tactics that people are likely to employ. For example, knowing that, you know, a split push might have 3 people pushing from baths and 2 people from short, or vice versa, and knowing to expect somebody to push here when they're also pushing from short. Stuff like that. That's a really simple example, but you can expand that in as simple or complex a way that you like. So the idea I'd like to discuss today is how to train as many of these core skills as possible in as short a time frame as you can. I mean, unless you're a pro player or somebody who wants to be a pro player, spending hours and hours each day working on core mechanics to become the best possible player you can be is not something that most people have time to do. Most of us are just playing for fun. But if you're anything like me, there's a good chance that you'll have more fun when you feel confident, when you feel like you're doing well. And there's a few drills we can do that will help to improve those skills with a relatively small time investment, I think. So before we move on, I think it's still really important to practice your aim. Using third-party skills trainers like AimLab or Kovacs are really, really good. There's plenty of free ones out there that you can use. AimLab is one of those at the moment. But yeah, it's still really important to work on your aim. And I don't mean massive flicks, being able to land those 180 headshots. I more mean making small, medium, and large adjustments and knowing how to develop the muscle memory that moves your mouse a certain number of pixels. Honestly, you can just spend 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes if you have the time, just working on those aim trainers, and you'll see dramatic improvements. Like, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there where people have posted before and after, you know, like, I spent 30 days on such and such an aim trainer, you know, became an aimbot. Like, I don't know how much truth there is to that, but if you watch some of those videos, you'll see just how much these people improve. So it's a really good thing to do. So the drill that I'm going to suggest you try using in your practice, so your warm-ups, is going to help with all 3 of those core areas. We're talking aim and crosshair placement, we're talking map knowledge, and to a lesser extent, we're talking game sense as well. Okay, so what I like to do before I play a game, apart from maybe jumping into the range and doing some practice, I'll also jump into a custom game. Let's select bind for now. Make sure you turn cheats on. Start the game. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to run around the map and practice clearing angles.
Just take a seat.
I'll show you in a moment what I mean by that. Okay, so once you're in the game, you'd like to click cheats and make sure you've got the end game phase hit, pause match timer turned on, and just basically select everything on for this so that you can buy things wherever you want and that sort of thing. And you also might want to bind something to ghost mode. I've got right alt set, so you can zoom around, run through walls, all that sort of good stuff. Okay, so all we're going to do is very simple. We're just going to practice clearing angles as if our opponents were there, trying to put our crosshair where your opponent's head is likely to be. I like to try to practice clearing every single possible angle. So for example, this door, you can see there's some rugs here, but there's nothing here. So they could be on this side, but not on the right-hand side. So you always want to work out what's the best way to clear that. And you can obviously transition that information into real games by saying, is there any chance that your opponent is likely to play that spot? And if the answer is no, you can just not clear that angle when you're actually clearing the site. But if you're not sure, it's probably best to. And that's where this practice environment really shines, because it teaches you the best way to clear these angles. So once you've cleared the first angle, you can pre-fire the spot if you like. You want to think about what the next angle is. Now, in terms of timings, like we were talking about before, really important to know where your opponent can be at the start of the round, especially. So for attackers, your opponent cannot be on the right-hand side of baths if you run straight out. So the only places they can be is potentially peeking you at this corner, or they may have snuck around into this corner here. Bear in mind that there's a very small chance that if you cross over here, now they can cross over to here without you seeing them. So just bear that in mind if you do slow push up to here, that now they can be on the right-hand side if they've decided to silently walk across from left to right. So we've cleared this angle, and we need to decide what to do next. Now, this is where the head's likely to be, so we want to have the crosshair next to the wall somewhere. Now you can have it close to the wall if you think that they're going to make small peaks, such as this kind of peeking here. If you think that's going to happen, then you need to have your crosshair as close to the wall as possible. If, however, you think that they're going to do what's called wide peeking or wide swinging, where they eventually run all the way out, then it's probably better to have your crosshair a little bit further away, such as here or here. So that's up to you to make a judgment call about where you want to have it. Depends on the situation, and it depends on the people that you're playing against. I'll generally have my crosshair a little bit further out in the ranks that I play in. Now, bearing in mind the opponent could have crossed to the right-hand side, so we need to work out this puzzle. What is the best way to clear this angle without exposing ourselves to anything over this way? So the general rule is whoever is closest to an angle will be seen first. So if I'm standing here, I'm at a disadvantage. Because the person who's peeking me, if they're peeking me from this distance, they will see probably my left-hand side shoulder before I can see them at all, which means they can just shoot and kill me. It's if I'm standing really close. If I'm standing back here, however, the distance between this point and this point is very similar to the distance between this point and this point. So you're going to have a fairly equal shot. Problem with that is that you haven't cleared this yet. So how do we fix this problem? Well, I think the best idea most likely is to come over here so that you can't be seen from here. And just peek like that. You can't be seen from there, but you can clear this. As soon as you've cleared this, you can back off and then make sure that you're as far away from this corner as possible and peek. Now, in my mind, going through this process does a few things. It helps you really focus on your crosshair placement, which is obviously so important for playing games. Like, I think this is a genuine warm-up technique that can actually really help you aim better. That's the first thing. The second thing is it just helps you understand maps better. It helps you to understand exactly which angles have which advantages against which other angles. This was a very simple example, but you can go into all kinds of analysis on all kinds of situations. It doesn't really matter how long you're spending on these. All that matters is that you're thinking about these situations. And that way you can think about the most optimal way to approach the situation next time. Realistically, you can just go and apply this technique to your own gameplay straight away. And I really do think that you'll find you'll understand maps so much better. You'll understand individual engagements a lot better, and you'll just be a really well-rounded player. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of time overall, but remember, 5 minutes a day over a week is 35 minutes. You spend 35 minutes every week just learning the maps, and 5 minutes a day is next to nothing. It's so little time. You actually will be surprised with yourself with how quickly you'll be able to learn these maps. That's basically all I have to show you today, and I really do think that this process is going to help you improve your game an insane amount. It's going to give you insane map knowledge, it's going to give you really good crosshair placement, and it's going to help you aim a lot because you'll be able to shoot the heads faster because your crosshair's already in the right place. And it's also going to help you with game sense. You're going to know places where your opponents can be, and you're going to know what good players actually do when they push sites. Knowing that helps you develop some kind of counterplay in your own strategies and tactics that you can use against those players. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, feel free to give it a like and or subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, I'll hopefully see you soon.